You know, at this point, the race to the White House is pretty much a race to raise the most money. And the Koch brothers, they're reportedly set to spend nearly $1 billion between the two. They're also looking to winnow down the field, which is growing by the week. Now, forget whether you love or hate them. Are they helping or hurting the grand old party? And Scott, I ask that because, again, the primary Republican voter, by definition, doesn't like being told what to do, right? By attempting to not only winnow down the field, but to stop this clown car and picking 10 people, let's say, for the debate that Fox News is going to start putting on the rest, will folks go along to get along here or no?
I think most people don't really realize the amount of money they put into it or threaten to put into it. I don't think ultimately it hurts. All these candidates it's like a great horse race. I wouldn't put it in the clown car catalog, but it's a great horse race where you've got a lot of guys who are on the inside track momentarily, but who are not as speedy perhaps. You know, and I think honestly you're going to see some of these, not the Huckabees, but some of these others come through toward the end, whether or not they get the backing of the Koch brothers.
And just to give people an idea, Scott, these are the lists of the 10 that would qualify, if you will, to be in that stage here for the first debates. And then we got 5, some names people will recognize here, that won't get to stand on the same stage here. And obviously you're going to see some pushbacks from some of the other folks, including your good friend, of course, Donald Trump. To that end, can you manage this primary process? We all said 4 years ago how they let the thing get out of hand, but can you really manage it?
It's awfully difficult. It really is, because you've got some, in those 5 who are not included, you've got some very articulate and good candidates. And the question then becomes, how much do they get funded? Can they make a true... That's why I think George Pataki has an interesting idea here. He is focusing on New Hampshire, the first state. He wants to get name recognition theoretically then and pull himself into that 10 or the upper 5. But it's going to be a very, very difficult thing. And quite frankly, I think most people are not listening, and they don't listen for probably months and months.
You know, Andrew, if you just look at the Pataki bio, who's expected to announce on Thursday that he's going to formally enter the race. 3-term Republican governor in the state of New York. He was the governor post 9/11. We saw what being the mayor of America was for Rudy. It relaunched his, or as Dominic says, he went from being the most unpopular guy to being, you know, the belle of the ball after that. To that end, why is it that nobody but maybe his own family, and not even them, thinks that he's got a realistic chance to, you know, really make some hay here?
Because what do you call a mainstream New York Republican and the rest of the country? A Democrat. I mean, the positions of New York Republicans and of a George Pataki to be able to form the coalition to get elected in New York State has to be more centrist than people in the rest of the country, when the Republicans in the rest of the country really want to elect. It's that simple. It's a rhino. Voters in Iowa, Republican voters in Iowa, Republican voters in Oklahoma are going to look at George Pataki and think he's a Democrat.
Dominic, you covered him for a while. There's some people that people underestimate at their own peril. Is he one of them or no?
No. No, I like the governor.
Yeah.
Right. I like the governor. But what's his claim to fame? The Republicans, notably Al D'Amato, they needed someone that was clean and unknown to take on Democratic icon Mario Cuomo. He was fortunate, ran a good campaign, and very lucky to beat Mario Cuomo.
Okay, but he got reelected twice after
Right,
that.
because once you're an incumbent, the game changes then, no matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. Once you hold the seat, you've got to be a moron to lose it. I mean, for the most part, based on our politics. But another reason, besides the fact that he's a moderate from New York, and I love Governor Pataki, but when it comes when it comes to personality,
yeah. Hey, is this about something else?
He's like
Wants to be a cabinet guy? Or?
And 2 people I like very much, Pataki and Bill Bradley. It just seemed like the same kind of guy who just kind of blah, very intelligent. Know this in particular, Bill Bradley. But, you know, you have to, as a governor, you have to run on your record, okay? He hasn't had a record for quite a while. That's a big gap.
Do you think, and you've covered these guys, do you think down deep, I mean, he's got 48 hours, I guess, or less before he announces, the people are telling him, you can win this thing, George.
Richard,
what do you think down deep he says?
Can I just be clear? Can I be clear on something? Is your unstated argument that we should be taking him more seriously as a presidential candidate? Because I would urge you to reel that in very quickly, okay?
Is
that where you're going with this?
We know some of the same guys here, good friends of his, who say he's really serious about this. He's done some. He's getting to New Hampshire.
I'll tell you why he's doing it, and it has nothing to do with any of that stuff. It has to do with raising money. By creating a presidential campaign, both in your own campaign and in the affiliated super PACs, you can ask your rich friends for money. That's what this entire thing is about. If it weren't for that, there would be no Pataki campaign. It has nothing to do with winning the presidency. It's a fundraising enterprise.
Who's going to tell him he can't run? The consultants
Nobody.
who are
He's
going to
American.
make money off of his campaign? The,
No, but
the
but
friends
you
in
know,
politics
you
who
know
he's
better
helped
than
along the
anybody.
way?
There's
You don't
always
believe that.
loved ones in confidence who say, "What are you doing? You know, enough already. You want to be 6 times? You want to, you know what I mean? You say, and you develop counsel at the end that you'll listen to, right?
That's for your wife to say, and or your husband, whoever it may be, to say, look, enough's enough.
But the consultants do.
Your friends in politics, they never do, and the consultants won't because they
bilk
want a
you.
job.
It's a
Look at
it's an
Golisano.
employment
Look at
program.
Tom
You know that.
Golisano. He kept running.
They'll
running,
tell
had no
you
chance.
anything.
That's true, but remember, politics is a very strange business. It can change on a dime. It can change overnight with a couple of small things, quirks.
County
And
executive, I love you. But there's not that
It
much
ain't
change in the world.
If the top 14 people in the race somehow take a wrong turn, then all of a sudden it's Pataki.
Hey,
That clown car rolls right off the cliff.
Yeah, if he's debating 14 empty
you know,
chairs.
during the last one where they said like, raise your hand if you oppose all taxes, guys should throw them up and like ask 10 around, and be like, raise your hand if you hate America. If they all throw their hand at them, Pataki's like, I love it. All right, okay. When we come back, Ellis here has been more than a few times, in fact, a contributor on Fox News. So I have a hypothetical question. We know the right doesn't like Barack Obama, and I would go so far as to say really, really doesn't like him. But the question is, who do they hate even more, him or her here? How ugly will this thing go? And who do they respect, even if they don't like more, between the two of your screen? We'll get into that and more after this.